Welcome to the Mindset Mile podcast, the show that'll leave you empowered to take action towards becoming the turned up version of your already awesome self. I'm your host, Aisha Zaza, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's go. Happy Monday, fam. Welcome back to another episode of the Mindset Mile podcast. I just want to thank you so much for all of your support for the 100th episode and the 2 million download milestones that the show just reached. That's a really surreal, both of them feel very surreal, and to have happened at the same time is even more exciting. And I was so happy to be able to put together a giveaway on Instagram and share the love with you guys as my listeners and to give away some really awesome stuff. So thank you for all who participated. I want to ask, if you haven't yet, please give the show a rating and review. If you're listening on Apple, writing out an actual review is so helpful. It tells Apple basically this is an awesome show, and it gets in front of more listeners that way, which is the ultimate goal. I want everyone to be served by the messages that are here on the Mindset Mile podcast. So if you can please do that, and if you're listening on Spotify or any other platform, it does help tremendously to give it a rating and review. So thank you so much for doing that. I want to talk a little bit about knowing when to scale back in life. So we've all heard this expression that sometimes our eyes are bigger than our stomach, right? You can be super hungry, and so your desire to eat everything is really high. Whatever you see, you want to devour. I think we also know this as the term hangry. But in reality, your stomach can only hold so much food, even if you are running on empty. And it takes a lot of control to not overeat when you are in this state. And it also takes time. It takes time for your stomach and your body to even recognize that it's full. So your stomach has to send your brain a message that it's full, but these signals have a lag time. So often by the time your brain gets the message that your stomach is full, it's already too late and you've overeaten. And then you just feel awful, right? Like we've all been there, just keeling over. You can't wait for your stomach to start digesting what you've eaten. It just hurts physically. It really does take resisting the urge to keep eating to give your body a chance to process the food you've already eaten and determine how full you actually are. And though this episode isn't about food or how to eat, the one last parallel I do want to mention here today is that when you do sit down to eat, whether you're starving or just normal hungry, it is best for our bodies when we only eat until about 80% full. So again, it does take discipline and awareness to do this instead of eat based on how we feel in that moment. And the same is true in life. Sometimes we get a little overzealous and bite off more than we can chew. And I'm just going to keep with the food puns here because that just works. One of my best friends is a really ambitious gal. She's super focused when it comes to her business. And I am just in constant awe and so proud of what she has built with her consulting agency. And like me, she also just had her second baby about 3 months before I had my son, Oliver. So her little one is 6 or 7 months old, and her first daughter is going to be 3 in just a few months. And a couple months back, we were talking on the phone and she was like, guess what I'm doing on your birthday? Just super excited about it, which is on May 20th. And I was like, what are you doing? And I thought she was going to say like she was coming down to Santa Barbara to visit or plan something fun for my birthday. And she was like, I signed up to run a full marathon in Montana. And she's dabbled with running, but really doesn't have a base since she recently just had her second baby and she has hit the ground running with her business. So she would be starting from like very, very square one when it came to training. And as excited as I was for her, in my head, I was kind of like, dang, like, I'm not sure if she knows what she's getting herself into. Not that it's not possible. And I really want to stress that I love stories of people accomplishing amazing feats when circumstances were not perfect. Because, hi, yes, they never are. But given the business goals she's told me that she's had for this year, given the fact that I know that no one in her family is sleeping much between her infant and her toddler, and with all the other life stuff on her plate, I was in awe that she had such a zealous goal. This episode is sponsored by Betterhelp. If there's one thing I've learned about myself, it's that when I start to get stress, I tend to future trip. My default setting is to start compounding all of my problems and think about how they are going to affect things in the future that have not happened yet. Which is why I've used therapy in my past to learn some tools to not live in this headspace. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react a certain way to things until we talk through them. If you've been thinking about using therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Get matched with a therapist and switch at any time. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/mindsetmile today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/mindsetmile. Ritual knows it's basically impossible to get all the nutrients you need from your diet 100% of the time. So they made a multivitamin that helps you focus on what's important. I never miss a day of taking my Ritual Essential for Women 18 and Over multivitamin. I love knowing I'm taking a supplement that fills key nutrient gaps and supports my foundational health. There are 9 key nutrients in the 2 capsules I take daily, and I love that it's soy-free, gluten-free, vegan-friendly, and formulated without GMOs. Instead of striving for perfect health, aim for supporting foundational health. Great news! Ritual is offering my listeners 10% off during your first 3 months. Visit ritual.com/mindsetmile to start your subscription, or if you already have one, you can add the multivitamin Essential for Women 18 and Over to your subscription today. Want to know the most underrated form of self-care? Sleep. I am all about prioritizing sleep as a part of my self-care. And since we spend a third of our lives in bed sleeping, I love luxury bedding. Cozy Earth is my go-to brand when it comes to all things bedding, and I especially love their best-selling bamboo sheets. They're temperature regulating and incredibly soft. They're the first sheets I've used where I can feel a noticeable difference every time I get into bed. Cozy Earth provided an exclusive offer specifically for my listeners, so you can enjoy 35% off your entire online order when you use code MindsetMile. Enjoy! So fast forward to maybe like 6 weeks later, we were on the phone again, and she told me that she decided to back out of running the marathon. She realized that she didn't have the time that she needed to train like she wanted, and knew that running sporadically before running 26.2 miles wasn't very wise, and nor did she want the experience to be like that. So she had really wanted to go all in and do it right. And I was so proud of her. And I told her that I was proud. And she was like, why? Because she was kind of bummed to realize that it wasn't exactly planning out the way that she had hoped. And she was really excited about it, and just kind of realized like this isn't going to work. And that does kind of bum you out. Like when you get your heart set on something that you want to do and a big goal, it can be really hard to back out. But sometimes in life, when we are excelling in multiple areas and feel like we are in a good stride, it inspires us to dive into another area that maybe could use some improvement, or we set some new goals outside of what we're already doing. It's true that good habits beget more good habits. And since momentum is contagious, I knew exactly where she was coming from when she wanted to strike while the iron was hot and added a marathon to the list of things to slay. But knowing when to harness your energy and your excitement truly is a skill that is priceless. Giving your energy and brain power to one or two big things in your life is much more productive than putting your divided energy and brain power into more things just for the sake of feeling eager and ambitious to tackle more. There are seasons in life for building and thriving, but as I'm learning almost every day right now in this current season, having multiple small children is not exactly the season to expect that things that require undivided pedal to the metal attention to thrive and grow, unless you're like J-Lo or Beyonce and have multiple nannies and house cleaners and personal chefs and personal trainers and managers and assistants and drivers and stylists and whatever other people that you need to keep that show running at that caliber. You don't even need to have kids or family to know when to manage your expectations in time. I'm sure you can recall a time in your life where you were feeling ambitious and ended up biting off more than you can chew. And what happened? You either one, probably burned out, or two, started dropping the ball where you shouldn't have. It takes maturity to harness your excitement and energy to know when to not overcommit. In my friend's case, she had some really lofty business goals and a family that she didn't want to take more time away from. And those were the goals. Those were the big two. Adding more goals to the plate doesn't equal productivity unless it's something that you can take on without dropping the other balls. There is no shame in removing something from your plate if it's not serving the greater good, and especially if it's not something that's time sensitive. Don't get too attached to things or ideas just because you've committed to them in a season where maybe it would be best to put them off for a later time. The problem here is a lot of times people think they aren't doing enough. So they add more, but knowing when to say no or scale back is the real flex, not burnout, exhaustion, or just doing it for the looks of it all. So I want to ask you, are you feeling overwhelmed with your load right now? Is there something you can scale back on or put on pause for a different season? There are priorities that are probably going to better serve you when you have more attention to give. What are they? You can do absolutely anything you want, but you can't do everything. We're not going to run at 100% of the time. I want to encourage you to know your priorities and know your goals and know them so well that you put blinders on and don't get distracted by adding more for the sake of adding more or because it sounds like fun. There will be a time and a place for it all, but it doesn't need to be right now. And knowing that is the flex. I want to hear from you. What are you feeling overwhelmed by right now, or that you've overcommitted, that you feel bad that you need to or want to take off your plate? Message me or tag me in your stories on Instagram at Aisha Zaza. Thank you so much for letting me spend these 10 minutes with you. I cannot wait to see you next week, my friend. Until then, make it a great day.